It's a rainy Tuesday morning in London. The kind of morning where the mist hangs so thick you can barely see Big Ben from across the Thames. King Charles is at Windsor handling state business. William is up in Scotland with the kids. And Camilla? She's alone at Clarence's house, sipping her morning tea, probably thinking it's just another quiet day in the life of a queen consort. But then the doors burst open. And standing there, dripping wet from the rain, is Prince Harry, the prodigal son, the spare, the one who left everything behind. And he's not alone. Behind him, with that same fierce determination in her eyes, is Meghan Markle. They haven't been in London together in over 2 years. They weren't expected. They didn't call ahead. They just showed up. Now you're probably wondering what could possibly drive Harry to fly 6,000 miles across an ocean, bypass all royal protocol, and confront his stepmother like this. Well, buckle up, because this story goes deeper than anyone could have imagined. 3 days earlier, a letter arrived at Harry and Meghan's Montecito mansion. Not an email, not a text, an actual letter, sealed with wax, bearing the royal crest. Inside was a single page, handwritten in Camilla's distinctive cursive. The contents? An ultimatum that would change everything. The letter essentially stated that if Harry wanted to maintain any connection to his father, if he wanted his children to have any relationship with their grandfather, he needed to publicly denounce the claims he'd made in his memoir. Specifically, the parts about Camilla, the parts about her alleged manipulation, the parts about her relationship with the press. And here's the kicker. He had 7 days to comply, or his children would be formally removed from the line of succession. You heard that right. Camilla was threatening Harry's kid. Now Harry has taken a lot over the years. He's been criticized, mocked, exiled from his own family. He's watched his mother's legacy get twisted and rewritten. He's seen his military titles stripped away. But threatening his children, that was the line. That was the moment everything changed. Meghan read the letter first. Harry watched her face go from confusion to disbelief to pure rage in about 15 seconds flat. She looked up at him and said 5 words that would set this whole confrontation in motion. We're going to London. Now, within 24 hours they'd arranged private security, booked a flight on a chartered plane to avoid the press, and coordinated with their legal team. But here's what nobody knew at the time. Harry had been planning something like this for months. See, he'd been quietly gathering evidence, text messages, recorded phone calls, testimonies from former palace staff, documentation of every single time Camilla had allegedly leaked information to the tabloids, every instance where she'd supposedly planted negative stories about him and Meg, every manipulation, every power play, every calculated move to position herself as the victim and them as the villains. He had a whole dossier, hundreds of pages, and he was ready to use it. So back to that rainy Tuesday morning, Harry walks into Clarence's house, water still dripping from his jacket, and Camilla just freezes, teacup halfway to her lips. She's staring at him like she's seen a ghost, because in a way she has. This isn't the Harry she remembers. This isn't the broken, grieving boy from the funeral. This isn't even the angry, hurt son from the Oprah interview. This is someone who's found his power, someone who's done being silent. We need to talk, Harry says, his voice steady but cold. About the letter, about my children, about everything you've done. Camilla tries to compose herself, setting down her tea with trembling hands. Harry, darling, I don't know what you think. Don't. Meghan steps forward now, and her voice cuts through the room like a knife. Don't insult us with the innocent act. We have proof. All of. That's when Harry pulls out a tablet from his bag and sets it on the coffee table between them. He presses play on an audio file, and what comes out of those speakers changes everything. It's a recording of Camilla on the phone with a journalist from a major tabloid. This was from 18 months ago, right after Harry's memoir was published. And in this recording you can hear her clear as day, discussing strategy. She's talking about how to control the narrative, how to make sure the public sees them as the problem, not how to use every resource available to discredit Harry's claims. The color drains from Camilla's face. But Harry's not done. He swipes to the next file. This one's even worse. It's an email chain between Camilla and her private secretary. laying out a plan to have certain stories planted in the press about Meghan. Stories about her being difficult, about her making Kate cry, about her being demanding with staff. And here's the thing. These emails were dated weeks before those stories actually appeared in the tabloids, with almost identical wording. You orchestrated it all, Harry says. And his voice is shaking now, not with fear, with fury. Every headline, every lie, every attack on my wife, it all traces back to you. Camilla stands up, trying to regain control of the situation. You have no idea what it's like, she says. And there's a defensiveness in her voice now. I've been vilified for decades. Your mother's supporters have never let me forget that I'm the other woman. I had to fight for every ounce of respect. I had to prove myself worthy of Charles. And you too, you just threw it all away. You abandoned your duty. And then you had the audacity to play victim. Abandoned our duty. Meghan's voice rises. We were driven out. You made it impossible for us to stay. The constant attacks. The racism disguised as concern, the complete lack of support when I told them I was suicidal. And you knew everything that was happening. And you did nothing, worse than nothing. You weaponized our pain to make yourself look better. The room goes silent for a moment. Rain hammers against the windows. Somewhere in the building, a clock chimes 10 times. Then Camilla plays her final card. She straightens her spine, lifts her chin, and says, it doesn't matter what you think you have. Charles will never believe you over me. He loves me. He chose me. And if you push this, if you try to expose me, you'll lose him forever. Is that really what you want? And this is the moment. This is where Harry could back down, where he could fold, like he's done so many times before, where he could choose his father over the truth. But he doesn't. Instead, he pulls out his phone and makes a call. It rings twice before someone answers. Dad, Harry says, and you can hear King Charles's voice on the other end, confused, asking where Harry is. I'm at Clarence's house, with Camilla, and I need you to come here right now. There's something you need to hear. 20 minutes later, King Charles arrives. He walks in looking concerned, confused, maybe a little annoyed at being summoned like this. But when he sees the scene, Harry and Meghan on one side, Camilla on the other, tension so thick you could cut it with a sword, he knows something serious is happening. What's going on? Charles asks. Harry doesn't say anything. He just hands his father the tablet and lets the evidence speak for itself. And for the next 45 minutes, King Charles listens. He watches. He reads, email after email, recording after recording, text message after text message. His face goes through a journey of emotions: confusion, disbelief, hurt, anger, betrayal. Camilla tries to explain. She says it was taken out of context. She says she was just trying to protect the monarchy. She says Harry's memoir forced her hand. But with each excuse, Charles just gets quiet. And anyone who knows anything about King Charles knows that his silence is far more dangerous than his anger. Finally, when the last piece of evidence has been presented, Charles looks at his wife, really looks at her, and he asks one simple question. Is it true? The pause that follows feels like it lasts forever. Camilla opens her mouth, closes it, opens it again, and then, maybe for the first time in years, she tells the complete truth. I did what I thought was necessary, she says quietly. To protect us, to protect you, to protect the crown. By destroying my son, Charles's voice cracks. By threatening my grandchildren. I never threatened them. I needed him to understand the consequences of his actions. Consequences. Harry laughs. But there's no humor in it. You mean like losing my mother, like losing my brother, like watching my wife contemplate ending her life, because the institution you claim to protect did nothing while she suffered. Those kinds of consequences. The confrontation escalates. Voices are raised. Old wounds are reopened. Charles defends Camilla initially, torn between his wife and his son, but Harry keeps pushing, keeps presenting evidence, keeps asking his father to see the truth. Meghan backs him up with her own experiences, her own documentation of how she was treated, how stories about her were twisted and manipulated, and slowly, painfully, something shifts in Charles. You can see it in his eye, the realization that maybe, just maybe, his son has been telling the truth all along. that the institution he's dedicated his life to has rotted from the inside, that the woman he loves might have gone too far in her ambition to be accepted. Here's where the story takes its final turn.